All right, everybody, get ready to chew on this. It's not some crazy food challenge, no double-stuffed bacon wrap, whatever. This time, we're diving into something that's got everyone a little, well, uneasy.
Coli, McDonald's, quarter pounders. Not exactly appetizing, right?
Sadly, no. It's in the news everywhere, and for good reason. We're talking a full-blown outbreak, people getting sick, and it's got everyone rethinking their fast food choices.
And it's not just a quick stomachache. This is serious stuff. Dozens of folks hit hard, some ending up in the hospital. There's even been a death linked to it.
Yeah, that's what really makes this hit home. It really makes you realize how important food safety really is, even when you're just grabbing a quick bite.
So let's unpack this. From what I'm seeing, the CDC reports put the start of this outbreak around October 22nd of this year, 2024.
Right, October 22nd is when that food safety alert went out, and the cases have been piling up since. Seems like Colorado and Nebraska are the hot spots right now.
So you're picturing yourself, you're hungry, swing by the drive-thru, everything seems totally normal. And boom, couple days later, you're down for the count.
Exactly. And we're not talking about just a little discomfort either. The reports mentioned some people getting slammed with those classic E. coli symptoms, bad cramps, diarrhea, fever.
Yeah, and there have been some rough cases landing people in the hospital, even a young child who developed this nasty complication called hemolytic uremic syndrome. It's called HUS for short.
I've heard of HUS, but
Right.
I don't know much about it. What is it exactly?
Well, in the simplest terms, those nasty E. coli toxins start messing with your red blood cells. That can lead to some major kidney problems, worst case scenario, even kidney failure.
Whoa, definitely not something to take lightly. So has there been any progress? Have they figured out what went wrong, where the contamination happened?
That's the million-dollar question, right? Right now, McDonald's has played it safe, yanking fresh onions and all those quarter-pounder patties off the shelves in a bunch of states, just while this whole thing gets investigated.
Probably a smart move. Better safe than sorry, especially with bug this nasty. But man, this has got to be a PR nightmare for McDonald's.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, their stock took a hit, which is understandable, but the real damage here is to their reputation, you know? Makes people think twice about eating there. Reminds me of that Jack in the Box E. coli thing back in the 90s. Took them ages to really bounce back from that, even with a total safety overhaul.
That's very true. It's hard to shake that kind of thing. And it just makes you think, with the amount of information thrown at us these days, how are we supposed to stay on top of all this? Food safety alerts, outbreaks.
You know, it's funny you say that because I recently came across this fascinating tool, this website. Have you heard of podcastworld.io?
Podcastworld.io. Vaguely. Remind me what it is.
So imagine a search engine, right? But instead of websites, it's all about podcasts. You ever try to find some very specific information inside a podcast?
Oh, I've been there. It's rough. You're basically scrubbing through hours of audio hoping you stumble on the right part.
Exactly. Podcastworld.io fixes that. You just type in your question, whatever it is. Could be anything from latest E. coli outbreaks to, I don't know, how to cook the perfect steak. It sifts through tons of podcasts and pinpoints the exact segments that answer your question.
No more endless fast forwarding.
No more. And it gets cooler. Imagine talking directly to a food safety expert about this outbreak or any other topic you care about, straight from the podcast you already trust.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Podcastworld.io actually lets you chat with these AI bots based on podcasts and podcasters.
Wow, that's seriously impressive.
Yeah.
It's like having access to all the information you could ever want, but without the information overload.
Right. It's pretty incredible. But to circle back to our main course, this whole situation with McDonald's really underscores that we can't rely on others to keep us safe all the time.
True. So what can we do? Aside from avoiding those potentially contaminated burgers for the time being, of course.
The basics are still your best bet. Wash your hands, and I mean really wash them, before you touch any food, especially raw meat. Make sure you cook your meat all the way through, no playing around with those temperatures, and be mindful of cross-contamination in your kitchen. These might seem basic, but they're your first line of defense, really.
Basic, but so important. I think sometimes it takes a scare like this to really drive the point home. So before we wrap up this deep dive, any final words for our listeners?
You know, I think more than anything, this is a reminder to be proactive, to be informed. We have a ton of information at our fingertips these days. Tools like podcastworld.io are super helpful for that, but it's also about fostering that sense of curiosity. Ask questions, be aware of what's going on, especially when it comes to the food we eat.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Knowledge is power, and when it comes to our health, that's never been truer. So stay curious, stay informed, and stay safe out there.